my darlings! How are you doing on this fine autumn day? I am doing fantastic, if just a little bit chilly. We actually had just the barest bit of snow really late, so I'm not feeling fantastic. So, of course, that means staying inside and building in Minecraft. Another thing to mention is that this video, oh my goodness, this video was a fight to get out. I left it really last minute because I was bug fixing out my butt all this week. I have moved from Optifine to Sodium, which means a lot of things look different, but I think I've gotten it to a pretty good place. I have just been struggling a lot. Really makes you appreciate Optifine and all of the features that just comes standard and working when you have to basically do everything yourself. Sodium has been really fantastic when it comes to performance. I've had fantastic performance with Sodium, but everything else has been excruciatingly difficult to do. And I don't think it's the fault of Sodium. I think it's just, there's just a lot of parts. There's a lot of moving parts to this. And it's really frustrating as somebody who considers themselves quite tech savvy to be consistently stuck over and over and over again with this many issues. And I have to say, definitely not been my greatest production week. But we are here now, we are here together, and I count that as an immediate win. Of course, there are a few little points that I'd like to point out, namely, a couple of my connected textures aren't working, my grass looks a little bit weird, a big one, all of my chairs do not work right now. So the best we're going to be getting in this build is stools from Hannacraft. So just sort of put that one into perspective. We are moving past the need of chairs. We are evolving into stools for this build. A couple of my chair legs do not work either, both from Mizuno 16 Craft and Ghoulcraft. I'm going to have to manually go in and fix that. I've tried changing as many in-game settings as possible, and it is just not working. So we're just going to have to sort of accept that this house has a couple flaws, despite it being so cute. I am not sure what it is about the cobblestone diorite combo that just makes my heart go aflutter, but it does. This roof I also had a little bit of a problem with, despite how simple it was. The little flat top that you see right here on the end does not look the best. I will give you that. It does not look the best. But what it does do is if you're standing on ground level, you can't even see it. So in my world, that's a win. And as long as the roof looks proportionally correct, yeah, who cares if it's a little flat at the top, right? You guys won't knock me for that, right? Of course, you can see in the little bit of granite that I have there, that's not part of the build. I actually tried like 2 different fireplace locations before eventually deciding to just stick it on the roof. Which, you know, for a standard like European style farmhouse, you would have that side chimney going, but I couldn't find a good spot to actually work in the chimney. You saw me put it out the front in the very beginning, and I tried to the side on the kitchen, ended up not liking it, ended up slapping it on the roof a little bit later, but that's absolutely fine. I think it works either way. What also works is the little cobblestone and fence archway that I just put over the door. That is my favorite little trick, and it adds so much like cottage-esque countryside to any build. I love it. I love it to death. I will use it in every single build if I didn't restrict myself. I also threw in a lot of dark spruce because you may know we have our autumn overlay pack right now. If you're looking to download that, the link is of course in the description. But I wanted to have something that sort of stood out and flowed into the house. So it did look like this house has vines and climbing ivy and bushes. And these are things that really die later in the season. So this is gonna be like really early autumn. Things are a little bit chilly, but otherwise we're having a really nice time. And the same thing goes with the path. I want it to be really organic. I wanted to draw it out first, which you'll see me doing right here. And I wanted it to have very natural, flowing, organic curves. I think that part really helps make the house look less like it's built in a game of blocks and more like it's something that you would encounter going into the countryside. Just whoop inside here for a second and you'll know as I'm finishing up everything up here in the kitchen area, I'm actually dividing the room. So further back where the staircase is going to be the living room, and then closer to you, closer to me, is going to be where the kitchen. It is very weird to describe space in a YouTube video, but we are trying that now. And of course, we're doing the same thing in the bedroom on the second floor. We have a far foyer. We have a far foyer, that is a tongue twister, where we're going to have a little office / reading area, and of course, 2 bedrooms that have been sort of funkily divided, but they still work out. And of course, because I cannot keep on one train of thought at a time, we're gonna jump back outside. Man, I should have cut this video better. Nobody would have noticed if I had done it out of order, but here we are. I recently posted a picture of the, I forgot what the name of the build is, but the little English countryside cottage with the giant mushrooms in the background. I think it's made out of sandstone, and I said I am dreaming of building this, but in the fall. And here we are finally building a version of it in the fall, and I used the same animal pen / fence idea with the cobblestone walls, and I love how it turned out with these same dark bushes that we used around the house. I really did enjoy that. Of course, we have a little inset staircase over here, and you may notice some issues with the connected textures. I spent so long trying to at least not have the bare default grass, and I think I've succeeded so far. I'm not happy with it. The jump to sodium has been one frustration after another. So I ended up just covering it all up with bone meal, which feels like my default reaction to anything these days. And there we go. You can see me doing the roof in the background. But yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with this sodium release. And honestly, I am not even ready to talk about making a tutorial moving from Optifine to sodium rather, because I am just not confident enough with my own setup to then go ahead and just talk to other people about how to do the same thing. It's really not working for me right now. And I appreciate the benefits that sodium gives, but it's really frustrating to have to keep going back to CurseForge or keep hunting down these mods on some random Discord just to get something feature pair with Optifine. So it's definitely been pretty frustrating. A really cool mod I'd like to point out that I'm actually having a lot of fun with is a mod called CIT Resewn. And it is actually a port of the entire Optifine CIT pack structure, but you don't have to use Optifine. You can use it as a regular Forge mod with all the existing Optifine packs. And I find that so incredibly cool. That's probably one of my favorite parts about moving to Sodium, is finally sort of like uncoupling and adding a little bit of open source to CIT packs. I did add in a few trees in the background there, mainly because I did flatten a lot of land, and whenever we destruct something in nature, we want to allow it to rebuild. So we're going to throw in a lot of trees into the background to make it look nice and cozy and sort of nudged up, snuggled up against this lovely little hill. And I really like that imagery. I really do. It's definitely my favorite part. We're gonna go ahead and start working along with the CIT packs. And I actually thought that there was a dark colored vine in a CIT pack, like, I forgot the name, the Garden Breeze pack. I could have sworn had a dark green color, but I couldn't find it, so we just went back to old reliable, which is the Mizuno 16 Craft Vines, and I still think it looks absolutely wonderful, especially from a distance. It sort of blends in with the darker colors, and I actually sort of like it better that way, honestly. When I was doing these animal pins though, I basically kept telling myself, Bliss, do not spawn in the rabbits. Do not spawn in chickens. You will be very upset to hear the clucking and the hopping the entire 2 hours that you're going to be doing the interior. And you know, I took that advice to heart, and the only thing I put in was the 2 little rabbit hutches, and then further back you can see the little chicken coop there. It will be filled with animals later, just not now. You know, just not now. It's definitely kind of nerve-wracking to hear the clucking and the animal sounds consistently. I also had a little bit of trouble deciding what sort of shutter to use on my farmhouse-esque cottage, but I eventually went with the white Ghoulcraft ones, and I greatly love them. So there you go, no problems there. We're just gonna go ahead and slide right into building the kitchen, and I love having the cooler walls and then the warmer floors. So it really allows me to pick and choose whatever block I'd like to use in the kitchen. In this, I used one of my favorites, which is the in-stone brick. Of course, if you're building this in survival, you do not have to use in-stone brick. You could definitely use white concrete or terracotta or something similar that's also a pale color. You could totally use diorite, and it will still look absolutely wonderful because you have that white at the bottom, and then you have the darker contrast color with the shelving at the top, and I love how that looks together. It's so adorable, especially the little tiny sugar that are on either end. That has to be legitimately my favorite block in the game. I also have to say that whenever I was building this kitchen, I actually started playing around a little bit with the new 1.17 glow item frames, which are so cool. I absolutely love them. I think it's going to look really great whenever you have like a candle CIT or something similar, just to get that glow without having to like squeeze a torch and like rotate the model in such a way that it like hides the torch. Now that we have glow item frames, that problem is in the past, and I'm so happy that we live in the future. It is fantastic. I will say, one of the weird bugs, which while we're on the topic of like adding lanterns and overlays on the torches, is that every time I held a torch CIT or something like that glowed or was emissive, my game went from pretty steady 60 FPS to like 15. And it was really baffling to like sort of I was sort of playing around, and then I noticed these crazy frame drops, and then I was playing around, and then I finally figured out, oh, it's emissive textures that are causing these issues. But I assume maybe something to do with my shader or the dynamic lighting mod that I'm using. I might have to see if there's an update available or talk to one of the developers, because that was definitely a very weird bug that caused me a lot of confusion before I figured it out. Just, I guess another reason to hold off moving to sodium for now. I like the work that's being done, but it is just an endless bug fest, especially when you're trying to shove in a lot of like Optifine stuff. This is a very Optifine-y, reliably build, right? Using CITs means using Optifine. So I'm sort of asking a lot from sodium and then getting upset and like ripping out my hair when it's not working right. Like we have these floating desks that I will get fixed. I just have to go in and manually do a lot of edits to a couple resource packs. And of course I'll talk to the devs of both of the packs that are having the major issues right now. But you'll notice floating tables and the complete lack of chairs, because all of my chairs are broken. But you know what, the show must go on. The show must go on. And we have these lovely Banana Craft tables, side tables, that I ended up using in a really adorable way. We have like this little behind the couch table, throw your stuff on it whenever you get home sort of thing. And I really do enjoy that. And of course, once we get into the bedroom, the main theme that I was going for here was definitely sort of like a natural, very clean gray and green. And I think it succeeded on all parts. Everything in here is super bright and super happy. And we're just using a lot of sort of like the gray cabinetry, and we're adding in like sort of like the IKEA style modular, but then we're adding in some natural textures in the basket of the clothes, and then the basket, well, it's not a basket, but like the basket pot of the ferns in the corner. And this is probably one of my favorite rooms that I did in this house, was of course the bedroom. And I was talking a little bit on my Discord about having some sort of like a room challenge, like an interior decorating challenge. I think that would be super fun to do. So if you're interested in participating in an interior design-esque community challenge, you should definitely stop by my Discord. I think you will have a fantastic time participating if you love CITs as much as me. Of course, the camera swung by too fast, but behind us we do have these two little window seats nestled in between some bookshelves, and on the side of the little walkway I've added a little table with a little pot, a little picture, you know, nothing to like obstruct the flow of traffic to that bedroom, or well, either of the bedrooms. But I did end up putting a little desk with a typewriter at the very end. I think it's lovely, I think it's adorable, and I do end up deciding, hey, maybe this is a little too much floating shelf action for me. So I ended up putting two little wooden side tables with some drawer CITs, so it looks lovely.